Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for dropping in. I've had quite a few comments and questions, people asking me about my studio setup and how I work in here. So before I take you around and for a little short tour of this tiny room that I'm in, I just would like to say thanks to everyone who's subscribed recently. Thanks for joining us. Anyone new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get an alert every time I release a new video. So without further ado, I'm gonna flip the camera around and take you for a little tour. So this is my room. Obviously there's my desk there. It's quite messy. I have quite a messy little setup, but it all works for me. Everything is kind of within reach. There's my guitars over there. Obviously there's my amps, and there's my desk where, you know, all of the recording takes place. And then just a mess. I do work in a little bit of chaos. I'll show you through my amps. These are, you know, I've got a little wall of amps here. Starting off here, this is a 70s 50 watt JMP Marshall. I managed to get that for a steal a long time ago. Yeah, absolutely love that amp. I use it all the time. And then just below it, I've got my divided by 13 JRT 915, which is a really cool amp. I've used that on the road quite a lot. And very versatile, brilliant. Divided by 13, you know, Fred at Divided makes incredible guitar amps. I'm a big fan of his stuff. Just below there is my 1970s Princeton reverb, my Fender Princeton reverb. That was an eBay purchase a long time ago, and when it arrived, it was in such a bad state that it cost me the same amount of money that I paid for it to get it to a working condition. If I just flip around here, I've got a little Vox AC10 there, which is a really nice old amp, but I don't use that too often. There's a hole there, which I would like to fill with something, you know, be nice to think of something, you know, nice 2-rock or something like that would be nice. And then above that, I have another divided by 13, which is the FTR 37, which I absolutely adore as well. I actually owned this amp and sold it and then bought it back, or traded it actually for something else. Now, how you'll notice, you know, no room for speakers and guitar cab. I do have a pile of rubble in the corner, and there's a couple of, you know, there's a divided cab there, and there's actually underneath there I have yeah, there's an old Neumann U87 there. I do have a Mike Landau signature DeVille amp, which is a really cool sounding amp. Then I've got my mate's old Fender Super Champ here, which I'm looking to do a little video on shortly. And then underneath there, I have a deluxe reverb that is custom built by a guy who lives near me called Alan Seeley. But what I'd like to do is explain how I record these amps. So all of these amps are plugged in to this super cool unit here. It's the Cahayan amp switcher. They're made in Madrid, and very cleverly, what you can do with this is you can plug up to 8 amplifiers into this unit. There's the amplifier section there. And then you have 8 amps plugged in, and then you can matrix switch them to 4 different speakers, which is really cool. And it means that I can have my Fender, you know, I can switch from my Fender on 1, my Marshall on 2, my divided FTR 37 on 3, JRT 915, and I've also got this other thing, the Audio Kitchen Big Trees, which is a really cool, it's like a little amp box. I think they're only about 2 watts. They put out about 2 watts. It's got some valves in it there. If you can see, there's some nice valves hidden in there, and it's a great sounding unit. So I switch between all of these amps all the time. You know, when I'm doing sessions, I will switch. You know, I'll use the amps, and I'll just switch to different amps to get different tones. Now, going to the speaker bit here, number one is plugged in to this aux box, the UA aux box, which is, I don't know if anyone knows about these. I'm sure people watching this will know about them, but if you don't, what it is, it's basically it's a speaker load box. So it takes the load from your amp head or combo, and then converts it down to a line level, which means that it gives you a recordable line volume. Because obviously, if you don't plug these amps into a speaker, you can really damage them. So this basically takes care of the line, the speaker load, and then with their very, very clever technology, that you get this this aux box virtual speaker thing here. You know, where you can, you know, like there, I've got a sort of a 1x12 cabinet that I'm you know, they've designed these really cool sounding. I don't think they're impulse responses, but they've done it in their way. I know there's other companies like 2 Notes do it, and I know about like the Suhr reactive load, which is also really cool. So that's what I have coming out of output 1. I'm going from output 1 of the Cayenne to the aux box. Output 2 is going to this new thing that I'm trying out at the moment, and I think I'm definitely going to buy it. It's this Grossman over the other side of the room. It's a Grossman ISO cab, if you can see that there. And inside here, if I lift the lid off, it's quite heavy. I'm going to lift the lid off here. Whoa. Yeah, I should have had my shredded wheat today. Inside, I've got you can basically put any 12-inch speaker you want in there, and there's also a little adapter that you can put a 10-inch speaker cone in there, and then I can mic it up, and it basically reduces the volume of any amp that you put into it. I think it takes it down by 30 decibels, 30 dB, and I've got a couple of microphones that are constantly on it. There's an SM57, a Suhr SM57, and a Royer 121, and there's also another little bracket here that I can put a third microphone in if I want to. And you just plug the microphones in on the side there, and then so there's 2 microphone inputs there, XLRs, and then down the bottom you've got a speaker cable that you can plug into it. And I must say, I'm absolutely loving having this unit here. It's as much as I love the aux box, this thing does sound incredible. So yeah, then I come out of the Cayenne. I usually, so here I've got some, you know, some mic pre. So this is a Chandler TG2 mic pre, which I've had for ages, and I absolutely love the sound of. I do usually have a lunchbox as well with some API and Neve style, Neve clone mic pre's in, and I usually plug my microphones into those. But actually, most of the time nowadays, I am going directly from the microphones. The microphones plug into this Apollo unit, the Universal Audio Apollo 8, and I have 2 microphones going in there. And then I use the really amazing, clever technology that they have. So I put on, you know, I have like a Neve mic pre on it. Hang on, let me just open that up if I can. Let me just get rid of that one. And they do these unison microphone preamps in here, which are absolutely incredible. Let me just remove that and put a Neve on. Neve, let me find that. So yeah, I use a mic pre, a Neve mic pre, or an API mic pre to go into the computer, into my iMac, And I must say, the technology that these guys have done, what they've done is they sound incredible. Having, you know, I do actually have some Neve mic pre's and some API mic pre's, and they are so close that I, just for the speed of work, because I quite often am having to change between sessions and then recall sessions quite quickly, rather than me having to make notes and markings of every preamp that I'm using, I will just use the plugins, because they sound so close to the originals. I mean, sods, you know, as things would have it, even if you had two 1073 Neve mic pre's, the two wouldn't be identical anyway, so they sound different from each other anyway. So I tend to use the plugins because they're just so, it's just so usable and so easy to use. Over to the other side of this thing here, I've got all this stuff here as well. I've got some nifty compressors, and there's an old vintage 1176 there. There's a DBX 160A, a couple of distressors, a Vintech audio stereo mic pre there, and an old a lovely Bricasti reverb unit. Now all of this stuff is still, I'm still not using it at the moment. I don't, because I'm doing everything in the box, because I'm loving the sound of the Universal Audio stuff so much. I'm just doing everything in the box, and one day I probably will, you know, fire all this stuff up again and just use it. I've got some monitors here. These are I use these focal twin monitors, which is really cool. They sound great. As you can see, there's my monitor stood up there. Underneath the desk, I've got a sub going on. And the other thing is I have two pedal boards here. I've got, this is, you know, my pedal boards are always in line. One is like my overdrive and you know, it's my boost and overdrive sort of thing. And I've got my Boss graphic equalizer there, and a Vertex boost. And the spot that seems to change on this board most of the time is where that phaser is. I quite often change that out for different modulation pedals. But as you can see, I've got a couple of overdrives. Got a Nobles ODR1, which is an absolute favourite of mine, and a RC booster, and a Vermurum Jan Ray, which is super cool. I'm not using any true bypass switches that I used to use. I just kind of gone for just having all my pedals in line. And then I've got my wet board, which consists of, I've got a Line 6 HX effects there, which I use for anything wacky and nutty. And I also have here a Strymon timeline and a Strymon flint. So the timeline is my delay of choice, and then the flint supplies my reverb. Really lovely sounding pedals. Now I'm just going to pan around and take a look at my guitars. Now, you know, I've got some hanging on the wall and a couple in stands. I like to have lots of different guitars around, because you never know when you're going to need a certain tone. So I've got crazy little things like this sitar, this cheap little sitar thing that I bought off a friend of mine. I use it quite often on sessions. It's really nice thing to have. But yeah, you can never, in my opinion, you can never have enough guitars. They're always good to have around, different tones. I might use up to sort of 4 or 5 different guitars on any single track when I'm recording. Yeah, and I just like to have them all within reach, so I can just grab them and just fill in, you know, almost treating the guitars like a painter would treat, you know, colors when they're doing a painting. So I know that sounds quite poetic, but that's just how I think about it. So, you know, I've got like a lovely Silver Sky there. I've got a Deusenberg, I think they're called the TV Star. Then I've got a Suhr Strat there, and a Gibson 335, and a PRS DGT. There's a Yamaha SG model that I'm trying out. I'm actually just doing some videos for Yamaha at the moment. Lovely little mini Maton, which is really cool. And then there's a Huber Surfmeister, which I love. There's my old mate Tony Rawson from Music Street. There's his Jerry Donahue telly that he's lent me. I've got a Supro which I've actually got lower, it's tuned down to C, and I've got sort of thicker gauge strings on it because I was trying to be trying to do some sort of Joey Landreth Ariel Posen style slide stuff. But it's just nice to have around different tones for overdubs. I've got this Eastman big body jazz guitar thing, which I bought because I needed something that sounded like that for a track. Yeah, just a couple of basses there, you know, two P basses and a jazz bass, a Fender 6 that I use all the time, and a Dan Electro baritone there. But yeah, as I said, I use these guitars all the time. You know, I'm always switching around with my guitars. So that's about it, really. It's a messy little room. I absolutely love being in here, and you know, I spend most of my days in here doing tracks for people and just playing guitar. Really, I'm very lucky. But wanted to say thanks for watching. If you're new here, remember, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, just so you get an alert every time I release a new video. Also, keep the questions coming. If anyone's got anything they want to ask, drop me a line. Either leave it in the comments section below, or my email will be in the description, so you can drop me an email. Thanks for coming by, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Bye.